right, dude. I'm thankful we got you booked for the show. Shout out to Jess in production for making that happen. He's the man. I didn't want to talk to you too much before you came on, man, because I dig just having the interview be kind of natural. You know what I mean? So
just let it flow. I get it.
Yeah. So I have these cookie cutter questions I sent you earlier. I need to open this back up here.
I saw them, but I'll be doing it on the fly. I didn't practice anything.
Oh,
Not the flow
no.
kind of guy, too.
Yeah, it's all good, man. If you want to talk about something different, it's just an outline, man. It just helps me move the podcast forward for the time.
Oh, it's your show, guys. I'm here to satisfy.
Okay, I know I already introduced you, but can you please state your name, location, and company, and whether you're rec or medical?
My name's Johnnie Walker. That's NNIE, not Y. Just for those, anybody who wants to look me up, they type in Y, doesn't come up. I'm in Washington State. I'm a medically licensed grower with a 60 plant co-op, multiple 60 plant co-ops, and medical only. I entered into the rec field for a very short period of time. In my opinion, it's a racket. The stores don't pay the growers at all what they're worth, and they just tax the hell out of the customer. And so many of these larger companies, I'm not naming names, I don't care who's who, but guys that have, tens of millions of dollars in the rec industry pay or compensate in some way testing facilities and say, oh yeah, this breed of Cinex is 32.1%. I have my stuff tested. It's like 29.7, 28.9, whatever. And I don't know, the rec field is just not for me. It's not. If I ever did get back in it, I'd probably be an oil producer or distillate producer, but I'm not going to be a flower production person in the rec weed ever again.
No doubt, man. I worked for my uncle up there in Seattle the year 2013 when he was still medical. And then 2014, Oregon changed their laws to where medical dispensaries started opening. So I landed a couple jobs at home in Portland. So I kind of didn't go up as much in 2014 when he went rec. But after they took down their first crop, I went and helped them trim that. And it was dope, man. It was still super dope work out of the warehouse, just licensed to be in stores now. And I think he only stuck with it for like a year or two, man. And he kind of said the same thing. Like he was 3-way partners in a company, and I think he just sold his part of it after a couple years because it was just like, this is bullshit, man. Like this isn't worth it. You know what I mean? So I think he's just doing medical now too. Because there's
medical's where the money's at. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
There's still patients who need medicine. You know what I mean? And the rec shops, like you say, are taxing like a motherfucker. And it's like, if that's your medicine and you need to use it every day, you can't really pay that price plus tax. You know what I mean? And it's a much better situation for you to have a grower grow it for you, because then you just get your medicine every month without having to go to the store and pay for it.
Yeah, my clientele, when they deal with me, they're not the guy that makes the seeds. I'm the guy that makes the clones. I'm the guy that grows it. It's not me personally that trims it. It was my ex. Now it's, people that come over to my house and trim. They have the confidence of knowing there's no pesticides, chemicals, crap in their stuff. It's grown by me, trimmed by me, cured by me, one-stop shop. Everything else I do is all medical, edibles. It's not because that's where the money's at, because recreational, that really is where the money's at. But that's where all I won't use the word corruption, but that's where all the shit happens. Let's make more money. Let's fool the customer when this stuff's 18% and they're tagging it at 29 or 31. And, just weed sits on the shelf for a year now instead of 3 months. They get to cut the top bud of something, give a product testing company an eighth of weed, and that's good for, I believe, is good for a year now of pesticide-free, powder mildew-free, chemical-free, everything else. And they've got a year to sit on the shelf. My stuff just flies out the door. It barely gets
Yeah.
cured and it's gone.
Yeah. I've seen people post online too that I don't fuck with that street weed no more. I'm just like, I mean, there's still medical growers that didn't go rec that are really talented. You know what I mean? So a lot
Yeah.
of those talented people are still just doing it medically because it's yeah, it does move faster when people need their medicine and something's working and it's good work, man, and you keep rocking with it.
For
You know
me,
what I
is
mean?
it's not the moving faster thing. It's the taking care of people thing. Honestly, like I said, the money is not in the medical. They've screwed it up so bad that the medical field is that's not you're not going to make $1 million a year. In rec, you will make 5-10 million dollars a year. Medical, you're not going to do that. But it's a one-to-one person to patient relationship. As in, people come to me, they can try a bowl of something and say, no, that's not for me. They can buy
Yeah.
something. If they don't like it, they can bring it back and swap it out and say, hey, I smoked a little. Can you swap me for something else? Which seldom ever happens. But you come to me, you try stuff. You don't like it, you try something else. You just keep trying every strain you have until you find the one that works for you. You can't do that in a store. You can't return at a store. Stores knowledge. They have stores that are medically licensed. I've personally seen a couple of the medically licensed places. There might be one of them here that has some knowledge, but they're just not in tune. They're bud tenders, which is great, but they're not the type of people that say, okay, what type of pain do you have? Do you have neuropathy? Do you have bone pain? Do you have muscle pain? Know what weed works for what. Generally speaking, not everyone's the same, but they're just
Yeah.
here to sell you something, not to really help
Yeah.
you.
I agree, man. Like as a bud tender too, that was always my goal. It was like, what's your mission? That's what I would ask people.
Exactly.
You know?
You want to be stoned and screwed up? I've got stuff that'll do that. You want to go to sleep
Yeah.
at night? I've got stuff that'll do that. You got back pain? I got stuff that helps that.
Do you still have to go to work? Because I got stuff that'll,
Yeah.
still keep you
Try my
awake and not
Cinex.
fuck you up so much.
If
Yeah.
you got a high paced job and you still want to smoke, try Cinex. It helps.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I wrote almost the whole album of material off of that strain of weed, man. It was good times on the off of that, man. That's when I started learning the difference between sativa and indica, and I was like,
Oh, there's a big
that's
difference.
that's why I smoke so much of that probably is because I'm trying to get sedated and it's making me fucking want to do shit. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's okay, man, because it works for that.
Yep. Cinex is a motivating marijuana.
Yeah. So we handled that first cookie cutter question, Johnny. My next one is how long have you been in cultivation?
Legally or other?
Well, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
Well, I
If the
got popped back in
if the statute of
2011.
limitations has passed on anything illegal, then please share. And
I
and if
got
not,
popped.
then you can just mention it. I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm good. I got busted back in Indy in 2011. There's a double jeopardy.
Damn.
So as far as the first plant I ever grew, 15 years old was my first seed I ever popped. I mean, I did tomatoes, just a general garden. I've always been a person to grow things, and I just thought, well, everybody wants weeds, so I'll try that. It's old, obviously, I had no knowledge. There weren't books and education. I mean, I'm old, so obviously there was no YouTube or anything like that. But 15 years old was my first, seed to pop in a upside down plastic terrarium made out of a 2-liter pop bottle back when they had the bottoms on them still. And obviously I didn't do very well at that, so that didn't go anywhere. I just figured I'd give it a try. I
Yeah.
didn't really get into growing heavily until my most recent ex about, I don't know, probably 12 and a half years ago. She was a pothead. She was getting weed from nefarious characters, let's say, back in Indy. It's if you think Idaho is bad, Indy is beyond zero tolerant. You got a baggie that smells like weed, you're going to jail.
Damn.
You got a roach paper with no weed in it, you're going to jail. And I was growing in this place in a 4x8 tent and inevitably got busted after several years of doing it. So specifically growing aeroponics, building my own systems, innovating, doing everything my way and doing it right, I'd say 12 and a half years.
Damn, that's tight. So you do aeroponics too?
I actually design and build all my own triple redundancy aeroponic systems that are RDWC, NFT, and aeroponic with 0 wattage chillers that are just light years ahead of anything else that, I mean, you can't find. If you took every system on the market, and I'm not trying to blow my own horn or brag, it's just a simple
Nah,
matter of
man.
physics. If you took every system on the market and combined them, you still wouldn't have 30 or 40% of what I build.
That's tight, bro. It's cool that you got the game to create your own gear, man. Because I've only met like 2 people, like shaking hands with or talk to that grow aeroponically, and I'm like, fuck, that shit's hard, man. You know what I mean?
It's
Like you
actually
gotta
really
dial that in.
easy.
I'm like, you
I'm
gotta have
trying to
control of
learn.
your environment. So I'd like much
Oh,
respect to
yeah.
you, dude. Like that,
Yeah, there's $30,000, $35,000 into an
dude.
aeroponic. I'm trying to. There's 30 goes in on growing, and I'm telling you, I'm not failing, but I'm learning. It's an experience from going aeroponics to soil. I've never really done soil, and certainly
Yeah.
never done organic soil. And I'm doing it. It's working. I'm just very much in the trial and error phase.
Okay, yeah, man. That's my game, bro. Like I made my soil from scratch like the past 3 or 4 years that I grew.
I did not
And
want to be a cookie cutter person. I didn't want to go buy what do you call that pro mix or whatever. So yeah, I started
yeah.
with the worm casting soil guy and perlite and cocoa and whatever the other is, just standard soil. I mix my own ratios. I try this, I try that. More of this, more of that. I use down to earth dry amendments and nutrients. I'm learning.
No doubt. If you ever go to Portland, Oregon, bro, there's this store called Concentrate. And even if you don't go there, you can look at their website and they have a sheet of stuff that you can order. And the amendments, you can get like 50-pound bags of whatever you want.
I go
And it's like,
through. I go bag after pound bag. It's crazy.
that's tight. And I don't know. I just like rocking with them because the other cool part about making the soil was it was way cheaper than buying it by the bag at the store. You know what I mean? So
It
I
might
could
be a
get,
little bit cheaper on my end, but the products I use, honestly, I think it works out. I might save 25%, but I didn't want to be I wanted to be a build it, not buy it person. So
yeah.
if one strain didn't like as much aeration or one strain had a little bit of a calcium deficiency, I could, drop the cocoa ratio down or anything of that nature. I just wanted to. Same with aeroponics. When I do something, I'm not buying a system. I'm building it, starting from scratch, learning from the ground up, not just jumping in as a buy everything. I don't know what the word is for that, but like a race car driver that
What
just drives, doesn't build his own car. Not
what's
me.
Will? Will has a term for that. We got Will with us now. He calls them Chads, I
I don't
think.
know.
Yo, how's it going, man? Yeah, sorry guys, I was looking for my charger earlier. But yeah, Chads of the industry.
Chad.
That's the person you're describing as Chads.
Yeah, Chads.
I know what a chud is, but what's a chad?
Yeah, what's a Chad, Will?
Chad is a person who has came into the cannabis industry that knows nothing about it, that's just in it to make a quick buck. Oftentimes has a lot of money behind him. So aka a lot of these big companies with people who've never tried cannabis, yet they're investing a bunch of money into like huge warehouses and stuff. Those are Chads.
It's a business, not a passion. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meet a lot of those people, not so much in the cannabis industry, but I build cars, I race trucks. I don't care to lower them anymore, but build cars, build bikes, build big trucks. And I get guys that are like, oh, I want a 12-second Mustang. I don't know if I want a Fox body. I don't know if I want an SN body. This is off topic, but it's the bought not built concept. They just want a car to race. They don't want to know anything about it. They don't want to care anything about it. They just want to get it and drive it. I get that,
Yeah.
rich kids I build cars for, but not me, man.
No doubt. Okay, so my next well, I guess that kind of was answered already, but if you want to talk about anything else that you're doing, maybe nutrient lines that you've used before, or more about the aeroponics, dude, because I'm interested in that. But my next cookie cutter question is, what sort of methods are you practicing in cultivation?
Well, I mean, basically, I build my own systems, so that's the method I've used for the past, 12 or 13 years. Uh, as we just discussed, I'm breaking into the, or however you want to term it, learning the organic soil growing. I'm not sure what you mean by methods as far as, do I use
Yeah,
Gavita? Do I use Raptor? I'm not sure what you mean.
yeah, methods, man, like soil, hydro, aeroponics. Some guys do the rock wool, you know what I mean? Like,
I did rock wool for a lot of years. I still use, I mean, rock wool is something, start a plant in aeroponics. I've seen guys do flood table stuff. I've done flood table stuff. It's not gonna yield as well. And this is my opinion. I'm not stating this as fact. Um, there's a lot of algae issues. There's a lot of clogging issues.
yeah,
The roots just, there's root binding issues, just like there is with any soil pot. I've got 200-gallon soil pots. I've got 100-gallon. I've got 45-gallon, and I've got ones that are actually in the ground. And it's just amazing to see the difference. I never knew, before I started several months ago, or 6 months ago, doing soil growing, that root restriction, bigger roots, bigger fruits. I never knew that was that big, because in aeroponics, basically you have a 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, whatever rock wool block you want to use. Clone goes in the rock wool block. Roots branch from there, and from there they just go straight down and they go wherever they want. There is no root binding. There's no such thing as root. I mean, unless you can fill up a 55-gallon barrel, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some big root balls that I've taken out that are 30, 40, 50 pounds, but there's
yeah.
no possibility for root binding. So to answer the question about rock wool, that's just a place that in my case, that's a place you start. You use rock wool, you put it in a net pot, you fill it up with hydrogen. Some people pronounce it hydrot. They're little clay pebbles. Roots grow through that. There's a rain ring on top. There are high pressure and low pressure misters, and there's a bed of water in the bottom, which incorporates NFT, RDWC, and aeroponics.
Tight. Hell yeah, man. Shit, that's dope. I don't have any of that game, dude. Like, when I learned indoor, it was soil with Botanica, and then when I was outdoor, like, I don't even think we used nutrients. The guy just had them in the ground, and he was out there in the mountains, so the soil was dope. But we had lots of mold issues when it would rain in September, so I started doing pots above ground and making my own soil. That was like 2014, I think, that summer, and I was just happy with the results afterwards. Like, yeah, man, and it felt good to,
I get it.
like the smell and
Do
the
your own
taste. They were
thing.
just, yeah, man. I was just happy, and we had like 5 or 6 different guys on that co-op up in North Plains, and everybody was doing their own different thing, and everybody was impressed. And everybody was doing. I just made my compost tea out there, and we just had a drip system hooked up, and that was it, bro.
I
Compost
need to
tea and
learn
water.
compost. I use red wigglers for compost. Sorry if I jumped.
Oh no, all
That's
good,
something I
bro.
have to
All
learn.
good. I was done, bro. Go on, man. I want to hear more about what you're doing, man.
I use red wigglers, composting red wigglers, and um, I can't say that I have done a side by side. I've got one room that I'm going to do an absolute comparison. 10-gallon fabric pots, same exact amendments, same nutrients and everything. Same strain. What do you call it? What is the term for that? God, my brain's failing me.
Same
A single,
phenotype, same cut.
same mother, same. What do they call that? This guy here will know the answer to that.
Phenotype.
Phenotype.
No, I knew that part, but I mean, doing only one strain in one room, singular growth. There's an actual term for that.
Monocropping.
Thank you, monogrow.
Yeah.
Monocrop, that's it, monocrop.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to do a monocrop with the exact same amendments, same nutrients, same everything, same fat, every single thing, and use the red wigglers in half the room and not in the other half to see what makes a difference. I'm a really analytical person. I want to see what really does a trick, what doesn't. So whenever I do side-by-sides, I'll use Terpinator in one half and not the other. I'll use GH sweetener in one half and not the other. Do every single thing identical and see what was the trick.
Yep. Hell yeah, man. Trial and error is where it's at, and like doing that makes your game way tighter, dude. Way tighter.
Without doing a monocrop, it is hard to do side by side.
No doubt. Yeah, and man, getting your own genetics too, because there was a guy that we were renting that property from, and he had his own mother room, and some of that shit was tight, but a lot of it wasn't. So we all started bringing our own shit out there. It was hard fun after that, but I only did it there like 3 years, and then we had to find new locations. So
that's always hard moving big mothers.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I still have from 5 years ago here, nearly 5 years, when medical was still around and all the med shops were still around. I've still got the original Cinex, Blue Dream, Granddaddy Purple, all the old school, I guess you'd call it, or not old school Maui Wowie or Red Hair Skunk, but I mean I have those too. But I'm saying I've got all the original medical strains that everybody really loves. And those are my bases. Those are the ones I'll never get rid of, and they're literally probably at C50 or C52 or 75 by now. I don't know.
Damn. Hell yeah. That's dope, man. Relic Seeds, dude. That's a breeder out of Oregon. He's making seeds of a bunch of those strains that you're talking about.
Gotta text me that guy. I really want some good seed banks. Local. It's not Amsterdam. I go through Amsterdam and they're great. Who knows what you're getting?
Same, dude. There's a lot of talent out there in the Northwest, bro. Also, Dungeons Vault Genetics. They're out of Tacoma. I'm trying to get that guy on the show. If he's listening, or if you hear this part, Eric from Dungeons, I'm trying to get you on the show. I'm a big fan of your work, man. But yeah, he's in Washington State, dude. So
that would be awesome to hook up with a really good breeder. I am not an educated breeder. I work with a guy, a disabled guy that loves breeding, does the 5-gallon pot with a non-feminized seed and then breeds them, and we just try different strains.
Yeah, dude. I'm same. I never, as soon as I fucking got males, I used to just kill them. But
I still do, but with him, he doesn't.
But once I met some breeder homies, I would save them, and I would call them like, hey man, do you want this? They'd be like, yeah, come pick it up right now. And so it's it was good because they were like, what do you want? I'm like, dude, just if you make some seeds, let me try some. Like, let me try them out. So.
Yeah, that's Eric and I. I'll give him a strain, give him a cut or something. Like recently was. This was all him. I had no part in this one. He took Gorilla Glue. Oh wait, yeah, I did. He took Gorilla Glue and he crossed it with every strain I gave him and every strain he had. Crossed it with Cinderella 99, Blue Dreams, Cinex, God Bud. Basically, just takes a 5-gallon pot with a male and in a 4x8 tent fits as many other females as he can in, and practically sea of green, because it's just a solid canopy and just pollinates every single one with a single male, so you know what you're getting. And some of them really turn out really well, like Cinex and Godbud cross was pretty cool. It's like super sativa and super indica crossed together. You got fast production, you got decent yield, and you got a good 50 60 40 hybrid.
Yeah, man, splits down the middle are always dope. My next cookie cutter question is, how have regulations changed since you started cultivating?
Oh my God, that's a topic. Sorry, I got text messages going too. I don't want to monopolize the whole thing. Sir, I'm sorry. I forgot your name already. I'm terrible at name.
Will. His name is Will, yeah.
Will. Okay. I don't want to monopolize. If you want to take this, everything.
Oh, your audio is cutting out for a second there, man.
Sorry about that. I was saying I monopolize conversation much, so
Oh,
Will,
no.
I don't keep you out of something. If you want to take this one and I'll follow up, just let me know when to shut up is all I'm saying, because I talk too much.
No, you're good. The point of these is we mainly want to hear from our guests. So no, please go ahead.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Indianapolis had absolutely no cultivation laws whatsoever. Well, they had a cultivation law that says you can't, will put you in prison for 15 years.
Yeah. So there was no medical, no nothing out there.
Well, they have and they still have a medical, like the worst cancer in the world, and be dying to get it. I mean, glaucoma's in there, but I guess people trying to prove that is quite difficult. So no, basically no medical to speak of. And the guys I knew, the very few, not even a handful, 3 maybe, that got medical, it's basically you buy it and you don't get to choose anything. You get some garbage G13 that's all shake delivered to you by USPS. Or in the very beginning, they would actually have some almost Secret Service looking dude show up and give you the package and make you sign and show ID and all that kind of crap. And sometimes it was literally like trim. I mean, like the stuff I make edibles with, little popcorn buds. I mean, smaller than like popcorn seed type buds and trim. So they had nothing. Fortunately, now their laws are changing, I guess. And I'm leading to the whole thing. Sorry, it's just a bit of a conversation.
No, that's all good, man.
They're leading to it. I think it was either them or Illinois that just got rec weed legal, but no stores set up. And they finally got some medical shops. The last time I knew, Illinois and Indiana, 18 or 19 medical shops in the entire state, which, Chicago and Indianapolis, that takes up all of it right there. I think they got one in Champaign in Illinois, and I believe one it was right outside of Indianapolis itself has someone's told me this. I've not been back in 5 years to see it, so this could be very incorrect information. But I believe Indianapolis got a few medical shops, but they're not like here in Washington. They're, bulletproof glass and armed guards and all kinds of crazy crap.
Damn.
So that was there. That when I was there, that was that deal.
Damn.
Here, I moved here in December of 14 when medical just popped off. I don't know, a year before that maybe, or maybe it was even that year, 13 or 14. I don't remember the year the medical jumped off here, but I got here and I was just amazed. I could walk into a store, show my ID that said I was 21, even out of state. Out of state ID, like, oh, sure, come on in. $35 a gram for anything that was worth anything, 25, 30 for something that was just average. And I thought, this is the market to be in. And then, but that was just rec weed. Then I found the medical shops, obviously got a medical authorization, and went in the medical shops, and they were nice people. They actually cared. And I thought, this is the business I want to be in. Screw the rec area. Rec area is obviously more money, growing and all that. Back then you could, I believe, this could be incorrect, but I believe you could own a tier 1 grow, or at least a tier 2, and own your own store as well. Now you can be a grower and producer. You can have a tier 1, 2, or 3. Be a grower and a producer, meaning you can make oil wax, you can bag it, you can mark it, tag it, and sell it to the stores. But legally, you can't own a grow and a production area, and you can't own a grow and a store or own a production area and a store. You can be a grower and producer and not a store owner, or a grower only, or a store owner only. So they don't allow a one-stop place, meaning if I'm the guy that owns it, I am not the guy that grew your weed. I'm not going to be able to tell you anything about the weed unless I know from hundreds of growers at, sometimes 10 cents a gram, 50 cents. $1 a gram is probably the best you're going to see out of a store paying, like if I were to sell. I'm still licensed to sell to rec shops. I just will not do it. They don't appreciate anything that's, of good quality. And even if they do, they're not paying anything for it.
Yeah.
When they shut down medical, they said they were going to merge medical. I don't care what they say. They lied their ass off. The very, very few recreational stores that are considered medically licensed, they don't have a guy in there. One of them is acceptable. Not good, but acceptable. I'm not naming names. I'm not trying to knock anybody or say anybody's bad. They're in it for the money, like you said, like the Chad guy. They don't care about the people. They care about, can I get $100 from whatever I can get out of your pocket is what I care about. I mean, the employees care, but the employees are not the ones that are going to sit there and read 1,000-page books, and biochemistry books and botany books, and well, they wouldn't really need to be botany, but anything.
I was that employee, but yeah, rare. Oh,
really?
Rare.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Commends to you. You don't find those here.
Keep going, man. Keep going, man.
All right, I don't want to monopolize.
Nah, man, dude, we dig it. Will and I met Will working at this store called Natural Wonders in Portland, and we really read a lot of shit and nerded out. Not just on the products on the shelf, but just cannabis in general. So
that's awesome.
We were better able to help patients find what would work for them. You know what I mean?
We need more people like that. We really do. I mean, the world is just a little bit less about the money. You got to make a living, but care about people. Don't sell them Cinex if they say they're trying to go to sleep.
Yep. Absolutely.
As far as the medical industry goes, I mean, it's not completely dead. They still give me multiple, under my company anyway, my corporation, they give me multiple cooperative licenses that have 60 plant limits, 6-pound limits. So, I mean, it's still alive and going, but it feels like black market. I mean, it's not, but I'm not allowed to own a storefront, which, I mean, that just kills me. Dude, that's why I moved here. Own a store. I mean, I was, go ahead.
I was going to say, where are you out of?
Washington State.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When they changed the laws in June, I think it took effect July, but like June 30th or July 1st of 2016, it was overnight. I mean, literally overnight, tens of thousands of people, maybe not tens, at least 10,000 people, no doubt. Well, in the state, I'm just talking about my city, but 10,000 people out of work. I mean, dude, because this was their life. They put millions, some several $100s. I didn't put millions in mine, but quite a few $100s in a lot of places. On the verge of buying a building, not leasing, but actually purchasing a building, making a storefront. And thank God I got the news like, hey, nope, this is gonna be one more year. This was in June or July of 2015. Barely a year after I moved here, and on the verge of purchasing a building to be a storefront, and somebody said, I didn't want to disclose to the current owner of the store or of the building what I was going to do, so I mean, I'm kind of out of the loop. And then eventually I say to another medical place, like, hey, you guys, when I open, if you want to swap, trade strains, or if you guys are out of something, the bad competition, the guy that, when you're 50 gram, I'm 12, and we're cutting each other's throats so we can swap strains, we can swap clones, seeds. If you're out of Blue Dream, call me. We can, toss you a pound and toss it back to me when you get your resupply. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, what do you mean when you open? I said, I'm buying this place. And they said, why? I said, well, because that's what I moved here for. And they're looking at me like I'm an idiot, saying, you're going to spend $250,000 on this building and then another 150K to renovate and get it up to code, and it's closing in a year? I said, why would I close in a year? They said, oh, you didn't know? I said, no, what? They said, June 30th or whatever of 16, this is all gone. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. And guy's like, nope. He said, I don't remember if he owned 5 stores, 3 or 4 or 5. He owned 3 I know of, but I might have been a partner in a 4th and a 5th. And this guy was a big time guy in comparison to me. I can't say his name, just anonymity and such. But I mean, this guy had, I don't even want to say plant numbers, honestly, because it's a federal thing. Not that I'm worried about it, but I don't want anybody coming to me asking me questions later. I hate the secrecy of it all, but I just don't want to cause any alarm to people.
Brother.
But
Stay ninja, brother. Yeah, I'll get it.
He was big time in comparison to me. I mean, I might have a couple $100,000 grows. This dude had millions in grows, or a couple anyway. And thank God I found this out, because I was going to spend upwards of $400K on a building, building in Reno to get everything going, and all of a sudden it was nope, not going to do that. And here I am now, no storefront. It's shit. It's all because the government wanted taxation and didn't care about the.
So, do you ever think about moving to a different state to try and take the things that you've learned, a state that's medical, about to flip to rec, so that you can set up shop and be at an advantage compared to everybody else as far as experience wise?
I have absolutely considered it. My problem is bought so many houses and planted roots here, selling everything here and just moving would be a Herculean task. But I've honestly considered, putting some capital together, putting a couple $100,000 together and looking at either California. California's laws are amazing. And from what I understand, California is like the number one, always has been. I can say this because it doesn't matter. Everyone knows. California has been America's number one supplier of cannabis forever. So you can grow 500 plants in California, which is, of course, way over the federal limit, but it's still a misdemeanor, even if you don't have a medical license. Considered California, and now Oregon's factual. This is just something that a buddy of mine who just moved to Oregon said, so you can't quote me on this. This is, one person telling me this. He's a credible source, but I don't know if he knows. He's not the type of guy to really call up the prosecutor and say, is this true? The kind of guy that'll get the license and do whatever he wants, and that kind of thing.
There's no plant limit in Oregon. If you have a rec license, there's no plant limit.
Okay, yes, yeah, I didn't know that, but I don't want to be recreational at all. I want to be medical only. I don't care if the difference is I make 200 or I'm not rich. I love money, but I love people more than I love money. Yeah. So I considered Oregon because he said Oregon is going, again, this is a claim. I don't know this to be a fact. Yeah. He says Oregon is going to be the only state that has the legal ability to ship to all 50 states or 48 continental states when federal decriminalization happens. So I've considered Oregon because I think is either 125 or 150 for just a basic license. And that's insane. The things that I have to go through here, showing seed to sale ratio, showing all 4 people in the co-op all actually contributed, and all these things that I have to do to maintain a co-op is just insane. They want to see damn near down to the numbers everything I do. It's not CCTV, it's not on camera like rec shops, but it's crazy. So if I could go to Oregon, dump everything I have here, take $1 million there, start over, then yeah, I probably.
Yeah, it's still seed to sale tracked with cameras and everything in Oregon, bro. If you get a rec license,
even for medical.
No, that's for rec. For medical, you can only if you have more than 2 cards medical, you can only have 4 as a grower, and then you can't have more than 48 on a property, 48 plants. So
yeah, see, I figured this guy might have been.
It's hella limited, man. And if you have more than 12 plants, like more than 2 cards as a medical grower, then you have to get the seed to sale tracking program that the state uses for the rec system. So you still have to track everything with the computer, and it's I don't know, dude. I left just because it was not worth it anymore. And the to be rec in Oregon, they're not handing out any more licenses, I think, until 2022 or something, because it was seriously flooded for a couple of years there. So
Oh yeah, they were talking about throwing.
yeah,
I saw that. That's insane.
yeah,
From another, I saw that. I could be off on the numbers on that, but it was something crazy.
Word. So what do you envision for the future of the medical program in Washington? Like, it feels like everything's been whittled away with the rec program, and it's like you say, harder to operate as a medical business or entity. What do you think the future looks like for the medical program in that state? Do you think they're just going to do away with it and make people go to the store?
The audio cut out for a second. Can you still hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I wish I was a psychic. I wish I could just predict. I honestly don't know, but I mean, I don't think. I mean, as swiftly as they took away, I mean, overnight, just shut down every single dispensary. Obviously, they could just shut down medical completely, but if they do that, their court systems are gonna be flooded with underground people. I won't be underground. I've got popped in Indy, and I won't ever be underground again in my life. But if they actually
Same.
shut down medical and said, okay, all your co-ops are gone, you can have 4 to 6 plants, and that's all you can have. Man, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that's not what they do.
That's basically what happened in Oregon, man. It's like you can have
That's
12 plants as a
crazy.
medical grower. Anything more than that, you got to be on the computer. And in addition to being on the computer with the metric computer program, you're open to inspections. Like the OHA can come through and make sure they count your plants, all that shit. So I'm like, fuck, that's whack. Cause you know what I mean? Like, cause they do helicopter flyovers, like no matter what, every single year, and it's like they're just they're gonna probably raid you. But it's like you could have more plants than somebody didn't fill out their paperwork and get me their card on time. But it's fucking September, dude. What am I gonna do? Cut these down? Fuck no, I'm gonna wait till October. No. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
in my head, I was like, if somebody did come and inspect and be like, you have 6 extra, that's all I would do. I'm like, okay, you want to confiscate these or cut them down, or like you
that's
want
what they would say.
Yeah.
Here, they're actually not so bad. They'll give you 20. If you're over your limit, we're coming back tomorrow. You know, if they were there at 5 o'clock, they say we'll be back here at 5 o'clock tomorrow. These have to be gone. Don't care what you do with them. That's the nice LG. What is it called? Liquor can LCB. The dickhead LCB guys, and I've only heard of these guys. I've not dealt with the dickhead guys, but the dick guys, I guess, are like, okay, pick out you got 5 over, pick out the 5 you want gone, chop them in front of us, and we're taking them, or you can shred them and do whatever, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's still a fucking cool cop move. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're just gonna let me cut them down, then cool, because that's what should be expected, because the law is voted for. Like, it's a waste of budget and time to fucking sit there and drag people through court for weeks.
The law is like, bullshit.
Cutting these down makes it compliant, and you can leave. So that's fine.
Right. Most of the guys here that I know of, people that have dealt with, most of them, I think the largest fine I've ever heard of is $200, and they gave them 4 hours. I think they didn't even give them a choice. It's like, do you want $218 fine, or is like $200 plus cost was $218, or do you want to cut them down now and give you 24 hours to get rid of the overage, and give you a $218, come back 24 hours later, and if they're gone, all you got to do is pay a $218 fine, or no fine, chop them in front of us, and we're good. Which I can't argue with that. That's fair. Yeah. The laws aren't fair, but their upholding of the law, they're pretty good.
Yeah. And my uncle up there in Washington, he had a retail location that was his originally, and then I think it might have been the state of Washington or maybe just the city of Seattle. They changed the zoning laws to where medical dispensaries had to be 1,000 feet from a school or school zone instead of 500 feet. So he was within 1,000, but outside of 500. So when they changed that law, like he got a letter from the feds, man, and it basically
he wasn't even grandfathered then.
Yeah, and the letter just said you have 30 days to close, or we're gonna come see you. You know what I mean? And so he closed the next day.
Man.
Like he was shook. Like fuck that. You know what I mean? I'm closing.
I don't mess with feds, dude.
Yeah, dude.
They scare the shit out of me.
And one of his homies got the same letter and stayed open like another week. And on that third day, he got raided, bro.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was just like,
at least they sent a letter. I mean, it's better than just kicking your government, dude. I'm gone. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And so after that, because dude, there was a fucking clinic where you could get the card on one side of the building and then the fucking medical dispensary on the other side. So you could go and fucking get registered. That's awesome. And then go grab medicine.
What state was that?
It was butter. That was in Seattle, out there in Washington.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like that for maybe like a year, I think, and then he had to close. And then he still had the doctor's office, but started doing the farmers market thing. And that's when I really started working for him, was going to the Northwest Cannabis Market and just post up at the table there. I like that setting a lot too, because there was a lot of different vendors in there, and we had some really awesome medicine that was competitive with everyone else. And there was a lot of garbage too. You know, there's a lot of guys pushing volume, and I don't know, when I decided to do my own thing, I settled somewhere in the middle. Like, okay, I'm not going to pay a shit ton of money for nutrients because I can't afford that. And I'm going to use the sun because I can afford that. And then it's like, once I started reading about making soil and just compost tea and shit like that, I was like, ooh, I'm doing this, man. So
yeah. I really do want to learn the compost tea. So I haven't dove into that yet. I mean, I know microbials, but I don't know, just 55-gallon bucket, warm room, air bubble, 3 to 5 days. When it foams, you're good. But the teas, I don't know anything about.
Yeah, dude. How I would do it is I would have different mixes for veg and for flour, and I would just put more.
Is that your nutrients in general, or is that just an amendment?
That's amendments. I would use the same amendments I used in the soil. You know what I mean? And
got it.
Certain ones for veg and certain ones for bloom, and I would just put more of that in the tea bag. And my window was between 18 and 24 hours, and there was. Yeah, because and you can smell it. When it still smells sweet, it's good to go. But there was one time I could smell it. It smelled weird. It was sour and fucking just ugly and gross.
Yeah,
I didn't
don't use that.
I poured it anyway, bro, and I could see the fucking difference. It's like when the bacteria goes anaerobic or something. That's when it's bad.
Yeah, like, you want aerobic respiration, not anaerobic.
Yeah. So it set me back probably a week or two.
No doubt. So you put your dry amendments along with all of your in the bucket with the air stone in a warm room? Just the amendments?
Yeah, I would use a paint strainer, and then I'd have like a PVC pipe going into it, and then I'd fucking tie it around the PVC pipe, and that would be blowing air into the tea bag too.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's something I've got to learn. That's once I get this part down, and get the and all the amendments straightened out. I'm new to this. That is my next, that or whatever the most pertinent next step of organic growing. That's what I need to learn.
Yeah, and man, like I've read stuff online where it's kind of a crapshoot. Guys are like, man, you can't really control how much bacteria of one kind or the other is going to be in there. And I felt like I could with adding the certain amendments. You know what I mean? But
yeah, well, there's amounts.
I wanted to get a microscope where I could see the bacteria. You know what I mean? We got one.
Absolutely, that's me. I'm that analytical. I will get not electronic microscope, but same as you, I'll get something where things, see how they're doing.
Yeah, because we got one. I think it was 2015. Me and my buddy Michael. He was out there in Tiger. They had fucking a lot of chloramine, like bad shit in their water for the microbes. So
I use RO water only.
Yeah, we ordered a microscope so we could look at the tea, and it just wasn't strong enough. Like you could see that there were bacteria in there and moving around, but you couldn't tell the difference between like species or anything. It's like you couldn't see the shapes of them. It's like you could just see them floating around. So it was like, man,
a little higher definition maybe.
Yeah, and to me, that would be tailor-made. You know what I mean? If you can figure out how many of each one, because you could just do a sample slide for each batch and just be like, okay, yeah, that's where we want it. Let's fucking pour that shit, because you could even take samples at different times during the brew, like one at 12 hours, one at 18, one at 24.
Right.
Yeah.
Figure out the optimal time, the optimal temperature, the right amount of air. Get it down to a science to where you know exactly what you're.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And also, if you get on Instagram, there's this guy called Joshua Steensland, and he's out of Walla Walla, Washington, man. So same state as you. He does this no-till indoor. Because I always felt super organic just doing my own soil and compost tea and water. Like that's what I would tell my patients. It's no newts. It's compost tea and water, man. It's clean medicine. But he doesn't even use compost tea, man. It's just the fan leaves from the plants and water the whole cycle, dude. And I'm like,
really,
he's
shit, feeding the plant back to itself and composting
that. Yeah, it's like his game is tight. Joshua Steensland, dude. Look him up on IG.
I thought of that concept. I did not know if that was a possibility. It kind of seemed like cannabis.
Yeah, man, he's got game, and so I'm impressed with his work too, as far as organic stuff goes. So he's somebody that I'm inspired by as a cultivator. So that's just a suggestion I have for you, man. If you're getting into the making soil shit, then check him out.
That sounds badass.
Because he's pretty dope. We had him on the show for episode 2, and he said he's on like the 10th cycle in those same beds in his home grow.
And his no-till. See, I don't know. I don't know if I can stomach. I'm gonna try the no-till thing. I've probably mixed, I don't know, between 2,000 and 4,000 gallons of soil in an 8 cubic yard wheelbarrow by hand, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's not fun. It's expensive. It's a job. So I mean, I'm gonna try the no-till thing, but re-amending and making sure everything's good. That's why I started with the red wigglers, because I figured, they're gonna run through and compost as best they can and multiply.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try it, but I don't know. It bugs the hell out of me just pulling a root ball out and sticking another plant in. It not fits to me.
Yeah, it's insane to me too, bro. That's when I look at his IG feed, I'm like, holy shit. Like
it's like not changing your underwear or something,
Man, he has fire. Like I got to sample the grease monkey flour and the grease monkey flour rosin that he made. Shit, it was tight. I was just like, man, it's some fucking fire ass weed, dude. Just water, only water. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy.
I will say, just to play devil's advocate, there are some pretty interesting arguments against no-till that.
Let's hear that shit, Will.
Well, I'm not like I can't
I remember Pig Farm.
I'm not the most like versed on it, but it made sense to me. I feel like a lot of organic growers that don't do no-till maybe question the aspect of like flushing in like in a no-till system, because there's no flush. But how do you also make sure that the soil has like the nutrients that it needs at proper levels, yet you're like only I guess you taper it down towards the end, but at the same time, like I don't know, just like I remember someone telling me who grew no-till is like, oh, I don't flush, I don't need to flush, and it's like,
you don't,
well, you don't flush, or it's not a thing.
You don't have to, because it's not. No, the reason that you have to flush when you're growing indoors because the plant is taking up nutrients into it. And so if you smoke those after it's dried inside the plant, it's not good for your lungs. So that's why those guys have to flush it with just water at the end. But if you're growing in organic soil, like the way I was, or no-till or anything like that, you're not putting nutrients in there. So the plant doesn't have any synthetic shit with chemicals inside of it, like the whole cycle. So you don't have to flush it at the end.
Now. I
What
did
do you
not know
mean
that.
though? They put nutrients in no-till.
No, they don't. Like that's the whole no-till thing is you don't do newts. Like green source gardens, like they don't use newts, man. They just fucking reamend their
Right. They
soil.
don't use newts from the grow store, but they use like they still use like compost and
Yeah, but that's the difference.
comfrey.
It's the shit that you buy from the store has chemicals in it that are in the plant that you have to flush out if you're using them. You know what I mean? Like you have to get them out before you harvest the plant. But organically, you're not putting that into the plant. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, but yeah,
So-
I mean, I get it, but I also would argue that you'd want to flush some things out that that you know don't come from the grocery store.
yeah. Well, and like it's like there's no, you don't have to flush if you're growing truly organic. Like that's how I would talk shit to guys on IG because they'd say organic in their name or in their logo or something, and they'd have a big ass bottle of shit in the background of their photo. And I'm just like, that's not organic, bro. Like you're pouring some shit on there that you have to flush out at the end. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, my question is though, what's the difference? Like if you give as a bloom booster, like close to finish, like chicken shit from your farm, you're gonna have to flush that out still. You're not gonna like you can't put chicken, you can't like amend your no-till soil with chicken shit, which isn't technically gross.
Oh, just
nutrients
chicken
from the
shit.
grocery store, and then like not flush it out, you know.
well, there's no like, cause the chicken shit you use that in veg, but even then it's like it's not getting into the plant really. You know what I mean? Like there's no, unless the chickens ate some fucking poisonous shit and the poison was in their poop too.
And who knows?
So,
I'm playing
they could have.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I also and also think like that a lot of time at harvest the no-till grown the plant doesn't look dead enough to me. Like it's not supposed to be dead, but you're not supposed to be harvesting, green,
it doesn't look
like
spent.
healthy. It has to be. It's got the no-till like when I've seen people harvesting no-till, it's not like fading to yellow like I usually see. In
that's
most
an indoor
cases.
thing. That's why it fades, Will, is because they're taking into, it's not really getting that shit through the soil that it's sitting in. It's getting it through the bottom. But I agree with what you're saying as far as, but guys in Oregon have to pull it early. You know what I mean? So it's like if you wait until the plant starts looking a little bit dead or start changing color, like it's already fucking molded inside.
Yeah. I don't mean to jump in and interrupt. I just wanted to know something real quick. A bunch of things to say about all these. I texted a whole bunch of people when I was going on this podcast, and some of them are back to me. What do I tell them to look at on YouTube? Are we live on YouTube? And
we're live on YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now. They can search Concerned Dabs Podcast, CONCERNED space DABS space podcast.
I missed that. I'm sorry. So type in that Concerned, like CONCER.
NED.
Right. Got that part. Concerned.
Dabs. DABS.
DABS.
Yes. Like doing dabs.
Right. Dabs.
Yeah.
And then just Concerned Dabs Podcast.
Yeah. Will came up with that name, man. Will would always post pictures of himself doing dabs on IG like the kids do. And he'd be like, here are some concerned dabs I did after work today. Echo, Electuary, Zombie, Ghost Train, Haze, or whatever. I'm like laughing. That's the coolest. That's the coolest name ever, man. That's what we gotta call the podcast.
Concerned dad.
Because that was the look on his face. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, this is a big dab, man. I gotta fucking. I'm concerned.
Concerned.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So,
can I address a few things on that
yeah,
last
whatever
topic?
you
Is
want
that
to,
cool?
yeah, whatever you want to talk about.
You guys were going at it, and I just, I'm new to this. Will had a lot of good points that I lean toward what Will was saying, because being an aeroponic grower, my plants are spent. I mean, they are literally spent when I cut them. There are a few clientele that really love my Northern Lights, and they want it not what I would call early, but they want it when the trichomes are not fully translucent or transparent, but fully translucent, no amber, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So I'll take a few tops off without flushing, just specifically for that clientele. But
Yeah.
the rest of the clientele, with the aeroponic systems I have and everything I build below it, it's all just PVC. So it's just turning knobs to where I've got a huge RO tank. So
Yeah.
basically the pumps stay running. I dump the whole system at one end, at this end I'm dumping, at this end I'm filling. So fresh water is going straight in there.
Yeah.
Fresh RO with nothing in it. It's not pH,
Yeah.
but just fresh RO. So I dump every single thing, and you just use a basic ppm meter and a pH meter. So at the very end control area where everything's going out, when I see very, very close to 0 ppm and somewhere around 6.8 or 7.1 pH, I shut the input off, I shut the dump off, and it goes a week to, not 7 to 10 days. And by the time they're done, there's not a green leaf on the plant besides the buds. And they're absolutely spent. They've used every bit of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, anything in there whatsoever. So that's my general nature, is to do that. Just so you get nothing but white ash when you're done. It's clean. There's nothing in it. But these are synthetics. So you clearly want that out for customer, customer, myself, whoever, anyone's lungs, you don't want that in there. My lack of knowledge and understanding with organic growing and everything that I talk to about with organic growers is, especially the no-till guys, this no-till thing, it bothers me. I mean, I'm going to give it a shot, but I'm worried I'm not worried I'm gonna kill somebody, but I'm worried somebody's gonna say, "Oh my God, this tastes like pure ass," or something bad.
Yeah, that's how Pig Farm be talking that shit on No Till. He's like, No Till still tastes like hay.
I use a basic line. I use down to earth. They're all purpose. It's something similar to Hygrozyme. It's kind of like BioLive, I guess. I use basically every product they have except the things that just make no difference. Like green soil, green sand, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just had someone text me and say they're watching. So you got another viewer.
All right. Thanks, man.
Anyway, my misunderstanding, or my lack of understanding, I should say, is that if I'm using every product that are dry amendments from down to earth nutrients, and I'm putting in tons of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, I don't use boosters in this. I don't use sweeteners in this. No terpinator. Terpinator is organic, so I've considered using that just as a terp producer.
Yeah.
But short of that, if I'm using nothing but organic dry amendments and nutrients, and in the end, there's literally no way to flush that out. I mean, how they say the plant is only going to uptake what it needs. It's hard to get nutrient burn. I believe that. With aeroponics, I push my plants to where I see the tips of nutrient burn, and then I back it off just slightly.
Yeah.
These guys,
it's like super soil.
Yeah.
Right. These guys in the organic, these female plants, I mean, in the organic soil, I don't get nutrient burn. So, I mean, I'm not concerned that I'm not, because they explain, they being the people I talk to about organic growing, explain the plant's going to use what it wants and not what it doesn't. My concern and question is how is it that all that NPK and any other ancillary is not going to be in that plant when I chop it? Because I think I'm at week 6.5 in this room. I think I got 10 days to pull this room at 8 weeks, and I'm probably going to pull it at 9 or 10. But very few of them are yellowing out, and the ones that are yellowing out, it's my fault, because I didn't amend them well enough. You know, in the beginning, being new, this is my first dirt grow in my life.
Yeah.
So the ones that are yellowing are my fault. But so the direct question is, just like Will was saying, when the plants are still green, they don't look spent. The trichomes are translucent, almost turning amber. The plant
Yeah.
says it's done, but you see all this
Yeah.
nitrogen, you know they're not spent. How is that not going to produce black ash and taste like shit?
Well, mine never did, dude. And I wouldn't feed tea the last week or two. Just because I don't know if I was trying to get that same effect you guys are talking about, but
Right.
it did. There was still no crackle or pop. There was no newts in there. But when you're talking about burn, like, dude, when I started using bat guano, like it's a bloom phase thing that I would
Yeah.
put in my tea. Like, dude, it would turn
High
the tea
phosphorus,
fucking
yeah.
orange. Yeah, and that would burn my plants. You know what I mean? Like, I went ape shit for orange coat. Yeah, but really didn't. Like my ape fucking curling and turning yellow. So I was like, okay, I got to back up off of that. And I figured out how much you only need, like a cup for like a fucking 50-gallon barrel. You only need 1 cup of bat guano for that.
So basically, stop using the ancillaries toward the end, but you still have no way to flush out the NPK of dry and.
Yeah, and so like that is a valid. Do some more research on that to see what the difference is, because even if you're growing conventionally in the soil, you know what I mean, and you cut off your nutrients for the last week or two to flush, it's still in soil and it's still going to take up some of those soil nutrients.
Well, see, I don't amend at all unless a plant.
Oh, your audio cut for a second there, Johnny.
You hear me right now?
Yeah.
I don't amend at all whatsoever unless. Can you hear still me all right?
Yep.
I don't amend whatsoever unless a plant shows. You know, if I amend with a phosphorus, potassium, or whatever. So basically, the soil I mix, you know, it cooks outside for however long it's going to be in the pot, and you know the worms do their thing and all that. Then the fab pots go in there and they just grow. So it's basically just water and all the amendments, all the NPK is all still in there. Yeah. And just like Will was saying, they don't look spent. They don't look done. They look green. Their trichomes are showing they're done. They're not producing any more weight, you know, as far as you can see, but they don't look like, hey, I'm done, chop me down. I just don't know. Going from aeroponics, which is what I've been doing for more than a decade, to this organic thing, I'm just concerned in a few weeks when I chop these and there's no yellow leaves, there's nothing that makes them look spent. You know, should I expect a lot of black ash? Should I expect a lot of NPKs to still be in there? I don't know, but everybody says soil tastes so much better.
Yeah, I would not, dude, because like my plants growing up, when they start blooming, fan leaves start dying and turning yellow. You know what I mean? Like that's just a phase thing for me. But
okay, so these should yellow out then.
Yeah, like those once they hit towards the end, like when you were talking about the trichomes too, how some of your clientele wanted you to chop them early. Like the reason that is probably getting it lab tested, and the THC number is higher when you pull them a couple weeks early. But also the effect, if it's Northern Lights, it's probably leaning more towards the sativa.
More sativa effect, and that's what they like. They love the Northern, but they want the away.
Yeah, but also too, dude, like if you had that tested against the ones that you let finish fully, the ones that you pulled earlier would test higher in THC.
Yeah. And going back to sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're right. Go ahead.
Going back to organic soil, Will, go.
Yeah, I was just saying about no-till too. Like, I don't know if we touched earlier on the definition of no-till, but the definition of no-till is literally and simply put, no, you do not till the soil. Like you do not disturb it. You know, it has nothing to do with, you know, where you get the nutrients you add from, or not buying nutrients from the grocery store or any of that. It just is literally the act of not disturbing the soil.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Green Source Gardens. Like they're true no-till. They're out there in the mountains, and they you know they just plant in the same place every year. but I'm not the hugest fan of their flower. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't taste the best to me. But Joshua Steensland growing no-till indoor under artificial light, I was impressed with his product, you know?
Definitely.
And same process, just different environment, you know? Like just add water.
Yep.
Which I think is dope. And I don't know what his trick was to, you know, I don't understand the difference either, but I would like to do more research.
Yeah.
Will, could you elaborate a little bit more on the stand not disturbing the soil and I not to any?
As in literally like as the definition reads, literally like no tilling of the soil through like agitation by either, whether it be machinery or like you're tilling the soil as in mixing it around for the next cycle, that type of stuff.
I understood that part completely. What I was asking is, with a no-till technique, you still do, once you chop it and you pull, as much of the root ball out as you can, you still re-amend. I mean, obviously, you put more amendment. Clearly, plant would have used a version of the amendment were in there.
Yes, yeah.
Really, because
you re-amend certain nutrients per cycle. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I mean that was my understanding. So I don't know that I've got to do a whole lot of research. I mean, a couple, 1,000-page books on all this organic stuff because it's for me it's guesswork.
Yeah.
Aeroponics is so simple. If you've got a bad enough deficiency in aeroponics, like I was saying earlier, I turn a knob on my 1 1/4 inch PVC, I dump it, I fill it, I put the nutrients back in, and in 2 or 3 days, they're back to being happy, just leaves like this, staring at the light, just thank you, thank you, thank you. And soil, for me, when I have a deficiency, I top dress and, churn it in there, water the hell out of it, make sure it all, gets in as best as possible. It's not a 2 or 3 day turnaround. It's a week or two turnaround, to see a real improvement. And I'm guessing at what it needed. So I'm hoping that what it needed fixed it.
Yeah, man. When homies would ask me like, what's wrong? I'm feeding it nutrients. They'd be like, yeah, like which line? They'd be like, man, I'm like, okay, so don't feed it nudes for a week and just pH the water.
Right.
Like if it doesn't bounce back after that, then fuck, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean?
But I'm just new to all this, trying to pick everybody's brain and understand what
Because that's one thing my uncle taught me is he's like, if you can't figure it out, he's like, just pH the water, man. Make sure it's the same
that's
pH
what I've
as the
heard from
soil.
everybody is back off the nutrients.
Yeah, man. He's like, it's locking everything out because it's got too much of something or too less of something. He's like, you need to just feed it water. So I'm like, okay,
I watched the Grandmaster level grower show on YouTube. What of a podcast? They're live, and he says the same thing. And he's not an organic grower, but he says the exact same thing. He says if your plants have problems, stop feeding. My issue is I'm not feeding them. When I mix the soil, I'm putting dry amendments in. So I have no way to go and pick out every little granule of stuff in there. So my only recourse is to amend with something, if it's a zinc or magnesium or nitrogen or whatever it looks like, is to amend with a dry nutrient amendment that would fix whatever deficiency looks possible.
Yeah. My main thing, dude, is just making sure that enough bacteria to break down whatever in the soil and feed it to the plant. That's like the whole compost tea shit. That's why I wanted to use a microscope because it's like, what if we're feeding it the wrong ones? You know what I mean? We
Exactly.
want the ones to eat up the veg material in the veg phase, and then we want the ones to eat up the flower material in the flower phase. You know what I mean? So I
am that same guy. Whenever I'm the same guy. Whenever I start the teas, start learning about that, the first, the prerequisite of that is having a strong enough microscope to be able to identify every strain of bacteria that I'm putting in there and know they're alive, they're working, they're not being eaten by other bad bacteria.
No doubt, man.
I agree with you there, I'm saying.
Okay, so Will said he's got to shake here in a bit. I actually do have to shake too. I got to go meet my neighbor downstairs. We're going to go make some moves on a Sunday night. Is there any sort of ideas you want to promote for the future, Johnny, Mr. Johnnie Walker Green?
I would like to see, and this is not at all that I disagree with soil growth. Can't argue with the thousands of years that it's been done. Well, hundreds of thousands of years. But as far as cannabis cultivation goes, I'm not arguing, I'm knocking soil at all. I'm simply me. I'm just the guy that designs aeroponic systems and loves it. I understand that's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yep.
I would simply like to see, I would go in and set up, as long as they buy the materials and they agree not to go and trademark and give it to other people, I would like to set up some of my systems and have not rec shops, not big people. They're just going to steal my shit, repatent it under some other little elbow or configuration. But a lot of the medical guys around here, I'd like to set up a system for them and say, hey, just give us a shot. You guys are helping me with the organic side of things. Let me set you up a little something, a grand or two or $5, a single plan, with some show them the interesting side, when it comes to not necessarily just cannabis, but everything, food production, every single thing, aeroponics. Sorry to hold you guys up. I'll make this quick.
Yeah.
No worries.
If you guys have let's say a Blue Dream strain in my aeroponic room with anywhere from 12 to 1500 ppm with a CO2 burner and the triple redundancy aeroponic RDWC and NFT systems I build, you can shave 2 weeks off of it. And you can foxtail it, not the bad foxtailing, not the little foxtailing, but I mean, you can foxtail it. I get baseball bat buds, literally. I mean, it looks like I'm making it the size of my head, but picture a baseball bat. I mean, the black domino I pulled down was from literally my forearm there and this big around. I can grab a bud and show you real quick after it's dry. And I don't. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm not an indoor, but the educated soil grower, I see they're doing indoor Gavita, 1000 DEs that I use. They just don't seem to produce as quickly or whatever. And there's a fair argument to, okay, you're doing it, can't be as good. I get that. I do. Yeah. I understand. That makes perfect sense. The flavor's not there. There's something missing. I understand that. I can't seem to get the great big one out of it. But this is just, if you can see that at all.
Word, yeah. Yeah, it's
that's a 6.5 week pull from an aeroponic system,
Yeah, that's mostly what I've read about it too. A bigger yield than last time.
Dry. This is dried and cured, ready to go.
Yeah, like you can squeeze more cycles in. Yeah. Word. So do you have any social media that you'd like to get on?
As far as like other podcasts or what do you
Yeah, if you want to talk about, you said you appeared on another podcast or something, like anything you want to promote that's yours online. If you have a website or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Snapchat, I don't know, like that's how people are linking up nowadays. They see your pictures on the internet and think it's cool. I get that. Yeah.
I'm a bit private, so I'm not going to plug myself by any means.
But yeah, any companies you work with, whatever you plug, man, like it's
realistically, this is my first grow with organics and the first dry amendment. I swear by these guys. I mean, it does seem like you really do. Like with synthetics, you've got to use a quarter strength or half strength. These guys, they're pretty on point with saying it. If they say you use a cup per this amount of soil, they're pretty factual. I went half strength and realized you really do need to follow their direction. So down to earth nutrients is great as far as I can see. As far as other podcasts, if people want a lot, I mean, just a vast amount of knowledge, grandmaster level grower on YouTube, that guy is insane with knowledge. And he's a lot similar to myself. He'll do side by sides. I mean, just absolute down to the gram watt per light production, all that kind of thing.
That's dope. I dig when guys document the math like that, man.
I know. This guy goes to the extreme of documenting everything.
That's
so
tight.
Other than that, no, I really don't plug much. I plug. That's about it.
Okay, well, it's all
I'm
good.
certainly not trying to get customers from this at all. I just, wanted to get some enlightenment on the organic thing and all that.
Yeah, all good, man. I got your number. Talk, man. Maybe we can trade for an aeroponic plant system or something.
Awesome.
Sounds cool to me because I want to try that and just see what it's like too. Because I got mad soil game, homie. Whatever kind of.
Or come over and check mine out. If you're ever in Washington, I'll send you my address through text. And you can come over and check mine out.
I'm down.
And maybe tell me some things I'm doing wrong in the organic side of things.
All good, man. Like I'm finishing an album, and when I hit the road, I'm gonna definitely do a show in Spokane. There's a studio I want to record at, and it'd be cool to check out some cultivators like yourself and see what it's about, man. And then also, like, when's your organic stuff gonna wrap? Is it like, are you just going into bloom? Is it gonna be a month or two or something? Are you down to come back on the show and talk about your results and whatnot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll come in here anytime you want.
Okay, cool, dude.
But it'll be wrapped in it. My calendar says 9 to 11 days. They don't look done to me, so I'm paranoid that they're, not done. So I'll probably let them go an extra week just until they start yellowing a little more. But yeah, a couple of weeks, my very first organic grow will be getting pulled.
Dope. Well, I'm excited to hear about it. We'll hit you back up and hear your take on it, because it's good to hear that a hydro guy is switching the soil, and you know what I mean. At least had the nerve to try it. You know what I mean. Most guys just read about it and fuck that, man. About it. So that's cool, man.
I get the soil religiously soil people. I would like to plug one thing.
Okay.
If anybody does want to learn about aeroponics, fear of they're in an illegal state or something, there are videos that I watched when I was younger, and this is just where I started. It's a very basic thing. It's called See More Buds. Just the word See, SEEMOREBUDS. You can get it on Pirate Bay. You can buy it. Whatever way you acquire it. Actually, I think some of it's Volume 1 of See More Buds goes from cloning to harvest, and I believe it's called something. See More Buds, but I believe the first episode of it is called something like How to Grow 6 pounds in 80 days or something like that. It's just, if you don't know anything about aeroponics, these are very basic systems. They'll breed a lot of pythium. You can't keep the room 80 degrees like they say. There's a million things that they say that are incorrect in the video, but it'll at least give you the idea.
No doubt.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here. Let me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no problem, man. We appreciate you taking the time, man. And it's good to hear your experience, especially man, because it's unique, dude. And you're in the game. You came from Indianapolis to Washington, you know what I mean? So
gotta be legal.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Being compliant to me also is important. I don't want to fucking go to jail or get in trouble anymore for weed. It's like I can fill out an application and
I don't agree with the laws. I don't agree with the laws, but I don't care for prison. Good.
Yeah, man. Same, dude. I don't want to get in trouble anymore. That's why I'm trying to do this podcast to educate people and share experiences too, man. So we really appreciate you helping us do that. And
I don't do one plant over my limit.
Same, man. Same. I'll send you the links when I got them. The Spotify, I think, doesn't upload till Tuesday, so I'll text that to you when I got it. And
I would love a copy of this video.
Yeah, dude. I'll send you the YouTube link too, man, once it's done. And I'll text it. The YouTube downloader. That's the one I use, dude. But
all right, man. Well, thanks for having me. And if Jesse left the room, but really appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no doubt. We appreciate you too. So I'm going to do my outro dance, folks. This was the 21st episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I was your host, KDM Kane. With me was my co-host, Will Terps.
Yo, signing off.
We gotta thank our guest, Johnnie Walker from Johnnie Walker Green out of Washington State. I also give a shout out to my guys in production, Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Curry. This has been a Main Node and Joseph Street Enterprise production.